Hey everybody, it is Tess with Dark Stitches and welcome to another installment of some quick tips that we're doing here. Right now we're going to make a ruffle. So I've got some fabric here that I can show you the fabric way of making your own ruffles, or I've got a piece of ribbon here. We're going to do some with ribbon as well, and then I can show you how to make some with ribbon. And ribbon is a real time saver, and it comes in lots of cute patterns and widths and such. So I've got some fabric here, and I need to get a strip. So what I'm going to do is fold it over and be sure that the fold line on the selvage edge is straight on, and that will give me an even strip. I'm making it a little bit wide because we're going to hem it, and that's going to make it a little bit narrower. If we don't hem our ruffle, then it's going to ravel and look bad, unless you want the raveled look, which is also going as a shabby chic. But in this case, we are going to hem it. Okay, so we're just going to cut 2 strips out just to show how we're going to do this. But if you were really making ruffles for a garment, you would most likely cut out several strips of fabric, because what you're going to do once you gather this up, it is going to be easily 3 times less wide than what it is now. So however many inches of trim you need for your garment, multiply it by 3 or 4, and that's how many inches of fabric you need to make your own ruffles or ribbon. Alright, so now we're going to take this over to the sewing machine, and we're going to hem it up and put them together. Alright guys, we're at the machine, and I have my 2 strips here, so I'm going to take them and put the 2 sides together. I got some black thread on my machine so it'll show up nice against this white fabric on camera. Alright, so I'm going to do a top stitch down on it. Okay, so now we have our long strip of fabric, and if you were making ruffles for a garment seriously, you would more than likely need more strips than what I have here. But just for demonstration purposes, we are only going to put 2 together. So now I have this piece of fabric that we need to hem on both ends. So once you have all your strips together, you're going to hem it on both ends. And I am going to keep this hem kind of small. So when you are hemming, now that this has come up, I want to bring it up. You want to be sure that you are hemming to the wrong side of the fabric, and that all of your seams are to one side of the fabric. You know, it's kind of hard to tell in this white cotton. It may be easier on a print, but there is a wrong and a right side to this ruffle. Alright, we've got one side hemmed. Now let's knock out the other side. So one way to do a ruffle would be with a piece of elastic. I like to use real thin elastic for things like this. This little 1/8 of an inch elastic is perfect. Now when you're making this, you want to decide where to place this elastic. Do you want it in the middle and make a double ruffle? Do you want to place it close to the top edge and make a long ruffle with a little tiny header? It's up to you. I like the header. So I'm going to sew down at the end of the elastic to the fabric. I'm going to anchor it in. Okay. So I've got my fabric here and it's laying flat. I've got my elastic. I'm going to take that and stretch it. And what I'm also going to do is set my stitch to a basting stitch. So So that means it's going to have more space in between each needle poke. And that's going to give me more gathers. So pull it tight and sew along your elastic. As you can see, it's gathering it behind me. I like this method because it always gives me a nice even gather. So then what you would do is just sew this directly onto the garment straight on. And when you want, what you want to be careful of doing when you sew it onto the garment is not to pull it, because then you're going to pucker the garment. I'm going to put a little stay stitch on this right now and stitch those ruffles right into place. Okay, so another method you can do is one where you gather it yourself. Again, I'm going to set that stitch to the basting stitch and then stitch all the way down. Okay, now I'm going to pull from behind because your bobbin thread is always going to be looser and easier to give. It'll be easier to pull. Now, hanging on to just that thread, I'm going to push this fabric down. And now we got a gather and a ruffle. When you're doing it like this, you can better control how full or not full you want your ruffles. You can make them super, super tight or space them out and make them not so full. You have to be very careful though, because you're literally hanging by a thread. And just work your way down in sections. That ruffle. And again, if you want to make sure it doesn't move, just do a little stay stitch on it. Ta-da! I mean, same method goes for the ribbon, except the ribbon's already got a finished edge on it, so you don't have to hem it. It already comes at a long length, so you don't have to add pieces together. I like when fabrics have markings on them, like this little plaid is giving me a nice line to follow. And now my ruffle is going to be even. And you just got to watch, it's going to want to curl up on you. That's just natural. You just got to make sure you don't catch it in your needle. Okay, so now when you sew it on, yeah, this is curling up on you, but you're just going to work with it and fix it along the way. And then sew it onto a garment. And then it won't twist up on you anymore. Let's see, I've got a scrap piece of fabric here. See, I'm just constantly unwinding it and setting it down as it should be. Trying to be sure that the elastic's not being pulled so that it doesn't pucker back up when it's sewn down. Look at that, my ruffle was as long as my scrap piece there. There we are. Little ruffle. And that's some quick and easy tips on how to make a ruffle. Thank you for joining us today. I hope what we've said today has helped you learn how to do something new, and I hope you can implement it into your own works, and join us for our next videos. If what we did here helped you today, please hit the like button and subscribe to us so you can see all of our videos, and hit the bell notification so you can know every time we upload. Thank you.